ultrasound technology, the imaging can help us to in thread lifting procedure to provide more safety, more effective, and more longevity for in the procedure of thread lifting. And it will be bringing us to the new frontier, as the conference said. Firstly, we have to know the principle. If we want to do the thread lifting that can provide effective and safety, we should consider the three major factors. The vector will decide the beautifulness, the result that will be beauty, good or not good, will depend on the vector. After you decide the vector, you consider next is the plane, because in different plane we insert the thread, the result will be different. In superficial layer, we can stimulate collagen like subdermal layer, and in the mid subcutaneous plane, we can create more lifting. And if we go deeper, we may create more volume for tissue and some kind of lifting that more naturally than subcutaneous tissue. I want you to think about it filler. Superficial injection and deep injection, the result is different. Just like the threading. The thread in superficial plane and deep plane will provide lifting in the different characteristics. We see that. And the last one we should consider is the type of thread. I like paraphrase from tug of war, because the thread is like two ends of the thread. One point is anchoring, which is must be fixed, stable, and strong, and the other end is hanging, should be movable, less strong, right? We should choose these two points wisely to create the better result, the best result. So how can we use ultrasound technology to utilize in selecting different, select the three factors that I told. The first challenge, the first area I'm going to talk about is brow lifting. Brow lifting is simply lift the brow up onto the hairline, right? And mostly you use subcutaneous plane. And the problem is the subcutaneous plane underneath the eyebrow is fibrous tissue and more strong, more like compared to the subcutaneous plane, subcutaneous tissue above and upper forehead is less strong comparing to in the same plane of the 2 points, right? So the anchoring point may be less strong than the hanging point. That provides some not so lifting effect and not so long lasting. Okay, so if we want the more strong anchoring point, we may have to go underneath this mass or underneath the frontalis muscle into pre-osteal plane, right? But how can we know that we actually inside the correct plane that we want to get inside? So I use ultrasound. Firstly, you have to get yourself familiar with the ultrasound picture. The ultrasound, we see that this is my patient and the probe of the ultrasound stay like this in this picture, and we can see that the easiest structure is the white line underneath. The most deepest part is the periosteum or the bone. You can see as the continuous white line. And above, we can see another white but less white line. This is a fascia. And the black structure linear one is the muscle. Because muscle contains a lot of water, so we see the muscle in the ultrasound as the black structure in linear. So this muscle is, of course, frontalis muscle. And above muscle, there are some subcutaneous fat, which is quite fibrofatty tissue on the forehead. So we see the fat tissue as a white line, but some fat lobules in black dot. And above is dermis and epidermis. Okay, so now you see, you familiar a little bit about ultrasound, how you see on this ultrasound screen. As Yes, and the fascia that I mentioned is this one, the subfrontalis fascia. Someone you may never heard of this because there's some paper that's published from last year by Kutofana, by Professor Kutofana that mentioned about subfrontalis fascia. This one is, in my opinion, is quite important because if we do filler injection and thread lifting that we want to go pre-reosteal plane, we may not penetrate through this fascia and create some like not proper result, not some complication. As this case, I intend to penetrate with my cannula of the thread underneath the into the preprosteal plane, but I mistakenly not penetrate that fascia, and just my cannula is inside the frontalis muscle, not penetrate. But my feeling, I thought I was underneath the muscle already, but yes, of course I'm underneath the muscle, but not penetrate the subfrontalis fascia. I'm not in the correct plane. I'm not on the bone. I'm not touch the periosteum at all. So I can after I check from the ultrasound, I know that I'm not in the correct plane. Then I reinsert and see that. Now my cannula, the white line, the bright white line, is underneath the fascia, which is the green star labeled here. So I'm now in the correct plane, and the feeling of the cannula is tighter, obviously tighter, better lifting, better anchoring. Yes. And you should come to workshop in your once in a lifetime to get that what you have been practicing for a long time, that you thought that you are in this plane from your feeling. You should check from ultrasound in the workshop that you are in the right or wrong plane, and you can practice this more precisely because it may not what you think. What have been done for a long time, it may not what you think. And the good thing about ultrasound is live, is real time. The feeling of the penetrated tissue of patient and tissue of the cadaver is like different, totally different kind, different thing. So you should do on your patient and check with ultrasound, not just attend cadaver and see that, oh, you're on the right plane, it's different feeling, right? You get me right? Okay. The next one is I will show you the challenge. Number 2 is foxy eyes. Foxy eye is just simply lift the above soft tissue above the lateral canthus up, right? But if you choose both anchoring point and hanging point in subcutaneous plane, the problem is the subcutaneous plane above is quite loose, but the subcutaneous periorbital at the lateral canthus is quite fibrous. As highly movement, right? You blink your eyes every day, use facial expression, and the fibers around the lateral canthus may create that, you may be in a situation that the hanging point is less strong than the anchoring point above, right? So I will use ultrasound to correct this problem by going deep down underneath the superficial temporal fascia to create more strong anchoring point. See how we see on the ultrasound is on the medial side is the eyes, right? Is the hairline on the lateral side. The cannula I label with blue star, and this on the medial side I'm on the subcutaneous plane, and when I go to the lateral side, I penetrate the superficial temporal fascia, which is the white line here, and go deep underneath, like going to interfascial plane that we usually used to inject the filler. See that? In this area, the cannula penetrate the fascia, which is superficial temporal fascia, and the anchoring point is interfascial plane. You can see the black dot here on the red star is this one black round shape is superficial temporal artery, which is located embedded inside the superficial temporal fascia. Okay. So I'm sure that this one will be effective and safe. The next one is mid-cheek. The problem of the mid-cheek is we use totally subcutaneous plane. subcutaneous plane on the mid-cheek that we sack that cause nasolabial fold. If we elevate just superficial planes, just subcutaneous plane, in like Asian, in Thai people, we have a prominent cheekbone already. If we leave it, we cause even more prominent cheekbone, and patient will complain to you a lot about that. It's surely lifted the tissue, but the result is not quite harmony as your patient wants. So my solution, I will move downward, more deeper into subsmash plane, and lift from the subsmash plane like you inject filler on deep medial cheek fat. In this case, I use deep medial cheek fat and zygomatical cutaneous ligament as the hanging point to lift up. And the result will be more naturally lifting like you inject the filler in the deep plane. See how it's done. Right here, the medial side is this like nasolabial fold, and we go underneath the smash. This one is subcutaneous plane. We go, and before I go over the area of zygomatic arch bone, I go superficially before the cannula will reach the zygomatic arch, because the one vital structure that we should be cautious about is this molar nerve or frontal branch of molar nerve, which is located on the zygomatic bone under smash plane, right? So I want past this area in subsmash plane. I will go superficially before the cannula will enter this area. And then I go superficially until the hairline to use my hanging point on the subcutaneous plane in the hairline. The challenge, the last one is my challenge number 5, is the lateral cheek lifting. Lateral cheek, the problem is the subcutaneous plane right here is quite thin. In some case, you may see that the trajectory of the thread of the cannula, you can see the line from outside after you do the thread lifting. Patient can see that how the line of thread outside, because so thin skin, thin soft tissue, thin subcutaneous plane. And if you want to correct that by go underneath the smash on the lateral face, we may easily injure to parotid gland. Parotid gland can be easily injured. It can easily injure, easily more than you think. If every ultrasound practitioner that use ultrasound to check the plane, check the procedure, we'll see a lot of parotid gland injury. Some filler that was injected inside the parotid gland. Because it's like more shallow, more superficial than you might think, and the consistency of the parotid is just like the superficial subcutaneous fat. You cannot discriminate between two planes with your hand. It's not quite obvious to distinguish both of them. So use ultrasound to thread insert into like subsmash plane, but not penetrate the parotid gland, which is pre-parotid space. Okay, space between smash and parotid gland. This one is perfect because no major artery, no dark, no like parotid dark, no nerve, because they are still in the parotid gland right underneath it. So my cannula is in this plane. See from my patient. This one is medial, and we go laterally. Yes, this white line is my cannula of thread. First, I go underneath. I enter from underneath the smash, and below. You see it? Below is parotid gland, just underneath my cannula, and the deeper one is masseter muscle, and the deepest one is mandibular bone. Then I go up. After I think this right here, my cannula is in subsmash plane, but after I go up a little bit, I go superficially because the structure I should be aware between tragus and oral curvature is the three vital structure: transverse facial artery, parotid duct, and facial nerve. So you shouldn't go unstudied submass in this area, in this line. And on the sarcoma bone, there are other nerves that I mentioned already from the class.
ขลังมากผีหลอก
แรงฮัลโหลเดี๋ยวนะ
เจ้าที่แรงมาก
โทษเวลาบาดเจ็บนะเนี่ยครับใส่แขวนตะกรุดหลวงพ่อกลวย ก็สรุปว่าการใช้รักษาก็ทำให้เราเทเลอร์เมดคนไข้ได้อย่างที่เราต้องการนะครับ แล้วก็เช็คว่ามันชัวร์ๆว่าได้ผลแน่ๆ safety efficacy longevity ครับจบแล้วครับ ขอบคุณครับ
ไม่กล้าพูดต่อเลยอะค่ะขอคิวเลย
Last thing, sorry, just 1 minute. Today I bring the ultrasound handheld. You can play with it. I wait at a like coffee corner มุมกาแฟข้างหน้านะครับที่เคาน์เตอร์อยู่สามารถมาเล่นได้มันเป็น handheld ต่อเข้ากับ iPad แค่นั้นเองแล้วก็สามารถมาดูว่าบนหน้าเรามันมี artery บนnasolabial fold piriform fossa เรามี artery บนโบหรือเปล่าเดี๋ยวเราจะฉีดฟิลเลอร์ตัวเองอะไรแบบนี้เช็คได้นะครับมาเล่นกันขอบคุณครับ
มีคำถามค่ะราคาเท่าไหร่คะยี่ห้ออะไรนะ
จริงๆบริษัทไม่ได้ต้องซื้อไม่ได้เขามาซื้อบูธแล้วค่อยพูดราคาครับ
อ๋อเป็นความลับนะคะ So I think the plan of thread insertion is very important because it can determine the result of thread. So it's better to see through underneath the skin with ultrasound technology. So we can do in the right plan, so we can get the better result and also the safe technique. So our next speaker is Dr. Kampon Sosirotham. He graduated from Ramsit University and also Master of Science in Dermatology from Boston University. He has been practicing aesthetic field for more than 15 years, and he has been invited to share his expertise in filler injection several times and also thread. Today he will share us about the thread makes simple fashion but beautiful. คิดว่าสไลด์น่าจะ
สไลด์อาจจะยังไม่ถึงได้แต่ว่า
ต้องเล่าคร่าวๆก่อนเลยก็ได้
So today my topic is about the thread simple, fashion but beautiful. Okay, slide come back. The thing is that how to make it easier and make it simple and make it beautiful at the same time. And it also that you still keep the efficacy or the good result. My topic I would divide into 3 parts. The first part is about the upper face. For the upper face, the plane that the thread should be placed, in my opinion, I think it should be in the subfrontally fascia or above the periosteum, like you see in the green in this position. Over here. And I think that if you place the thread into the subcutaneous, it is really easy to visible the thread, and it is not a good plane because you know that the upper third of the forehead is a lot of the blood vessel. So I think there are 2 reasons that you should place the thread into the deep layers. Number 1, in the deep plane there is no vascular and is not visible by our eye. And this is the idea, how we can fix and hang. the fixed point, it should be at the hairline, and it's very close to the hairline. It is at the upper third of the forehead, because at that part, it is a non-mobile area. So this is the idea. If you fix the thread in the middle third, it's a mobile area, so you will not able to fix it. And for the hanging point, you need to hang it at the orbital retaining ligament in the deep plane. As you can see right here, that there is no vascular. And for the upper face lifting, it's a little bit tricky because you will see that there's a convexity and a concavity, especially at the lower part of the forehead. As you can see over here, there's a superciliary sulcus and superciliary arch. And if you are in the deep plane, that meaning is difficult to pass to the superciliary arch. So you need a good trick to do. What I will recommend, I will recommend you to do the pinching, to pinch the smash or the frontalis, and then the needle or the cannula, it can pass to the superciliary arch. And this is the idea of video, how I do it. You will see that I marked the entry point at the arch, and at the exit, at the arch and at the tail. And now I am marking the entry point at the hairline, and I have to make sure that there is no blood vessel for the entry point to avoid from bleeding. And as we have learned from this morning about the anatomy that Dr. Chan already mentioned. So now we go into the deep plane and we pinch the frontalis up. The needle is go beneath the frontalis fascia, and you see over there, I have to make a pinch to go to the superciliary arch. The one arm is already inside. The second arm is also insert into the deep plane, go to the tail of the eyebrow. You will see that I'm past the superciliary arch very easy because I pinch the skin up. And the whole thread is in the plane. And how to track? I would track just only the skin. I would not track the thread. So you need to make a compression for about 2-3 minutes to stop bleeding. But normally it's only a little bit bleeding. Now I open the arm and lift the eyebrow up. You will see that the thread is hooked with the orbital retaining ligament. And you can compare between the left and right, before and after. You will see that it's totally high. And I would recommend that you should track very high and above the superciliary arch or the orbital ring. That's what we need. And then we just cut the thread. And we also do the same thing for both sides. You will see that it's very smooth. It's no thread that could visible. If you are in the deep plate. You just take it out. Simple. And you just release a dimple a bit. And you will see the result for both eyebrows. And this is immediately after we finish the thread. You will see that is simple and easy and it's effective. Next would be on the mid-face. For the mid-face, I would use the technique. It's an accumulation tissue technique, or we call it a reshaping technique. Because normally we put the tissue to the lateral side and backward, and what happens, especially in Asian face, our face will be wider and will be flat. So I recommend to use the anterior projection to make the cheek or the apex of the cheek become more anterior. As you can see over here, the blue line is the line of the thread, and the white line is the intersection of the apex that I want. By using the accumulation technique, you can create the apex to the anterior, not to the lateral of the face. And the plane that we're going to use in this technique is in the subcutaneous layer. So you just pinch the skin up, but not too deep. And this is the idea how I do it. You will see the line over here that I draw on the face. That is the apex of the cheek. And now I start to draw a line from the lateral canthus to the trachea. This is the line for the entry point, and I would mark approximate 3 centimeters away from the lateral canthus. As you know from Dr. Chan this morning, 2.5 centimeters is a danger point, so I use this around 3 centimeters from the lateral canthus. And another entry point is approximately 1 centimeter away from the first entry point. Then the exit point, I prefer to use at the oral commission, or sometimes it's down to the superior jaw. And the second exit is nearly to the ala, because at that area is the position of the nasolabial fat. So now we got the apex of the cheek, the entry point, and the exit point. So actually you can use any kind of the bidirectional convergent thread. And in this case, I use the free forcing. The difficult thing for this free floating that is how can you bend down the needle, or how can you curve the needle, and you will stay in the superficial layer, because many times many people do this technique and they go too deep into the deep layer. So I pin the skin and I use my finger to bend down, because our face is curved over here. And my exit is at the or at the nasolabial, not the nasolabial, it's a nasolabial fat. The second one, not yet. And now I am inserting the thread into the spinal needle. And you have to make sure that the no barb zone is at the center or at the apex that you expect to accumulate the tissue. Now you remove your spinal needle. Okay, the second arm is going inside and inserting the spinal needle. I use the 31G spinal needle. And now I have to make it curve down and keep it in the superficial plane by using another non-dominant hand to bend it down. And also do the same thing, insert the thread and make sure that the no barb is at the center. you have to let your assistant help you a little bit. You have to let your assistant to hold a thread for you. Then you can pinch. This technique will help to open the bar. Because if you do not let the assistant help, the bar it may not open and it will not effective, or the tissue it will not activate at the point that you are expect. You will see that it becomes in the center that we need. Again, it is not that difficult if you do everything right. The third part is about the lower face. It is very common for the lower part. It is the superior jaw, inferior jaw, and nasolabial fat that it migrates downward and forward. So we need a fixing point. Normally we use it at the temporal area or sometimes at the preauricular area. And the hanging point is at the jaw. And this is my idea to do it. You will see that the first hanging point, the first fixing point is at the mandibular and or at the mandibular angle. Why I use that one? Because we already know that there is a ligament, it's a platysma auricular ligament. We can use it for the fixing point. And the hanging point, it could be at the inferior jaw or at the submandibular jaw. The second point for the fixing point is at the zygomatic arm. That is close to the trachea. Because at that point, we do have the zygomatic ligament that is very strong. We can use it for the fixing point. And the exit point or the hanging point, normally I use it lateral to the lateral canthal line. Because if you use it to medial or you go beyond than the lateral canthal line, sometimes the face is become flat. But there is a point that sometimes, I would say only sometimes, it's not every time that you can go to the targeted fat. Only sometimes. Who gonna do that? The person who have a very heavy setting on the aging. But for the young people, you no need to go to the targeted fat. It's not necessary to do that. And at the third point, this is the fixing point, it is at the temporal area. And you will see the vector. The first point and the second point is a lateral vector. The third one is the